So the joke with this one is I'm finally about to publish a new Cure podcast. I've been editing it like all day, and so I figured there is actually something to say about this band relative to CD, which is that you absolutely do not need or really even want the Cure's remasters. Like, they're almost done with the whole thing, and I can say definitively they're not good. I don't like some of them. There's a couple that have value, like sonically in terms of improving the sound. Number one would be "Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me." The "Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me" remaster is significantly better than the original mix. So that's one where maybe it's worth it. "Head on the Door" also significantly punched up without being brick walled or like completely destroyed by the process. So, you know, it's a situation where there actually is value. Like, there's not a lot, because similar to the Susie and the Banshees concept, the Cure are going to have the cool tax, right? But there are so many issues and reissues of the stuff you can make out. Like, it's unlikely you're going to like clean up, and they're so common in such a mainstream band, it's unlikely you're going to find a seller that's got like, you know, a whole run. But the point I wanted to make with this is, if you want to collect this band, the original CDs are honestly the better place to go in all but a very few cases. And those are the ones, because of the remasters being out there and the reissues, those earlier CDs are going to be cheaper and, you know, not necessarily easier to find, but they're definitely worth getting, especially if you're starting out, like, and you don't know the Cure, you haven't, like, you know, been growing up with them like a Gen X person like me. You know, it's a band that, like, you hear about all the time, nonstop. Like, if you're interested in music and it's something you're you know, paying attention to or whatever, you never stop hearing about this band. And so, you know, as an introduction, in a way, as part of the notion of collecting physical media and, you know, getting the value out of used CDs, which is our kind of goof here, I wanted to go through it, and I wanted to point out, like, what is and isn't worth spending the money on. You know, the first album, Three Imaginary Boys, I have podcasts about all but the last two and the central three Cure records on Spotify and Apple Music. So if you want to go look for those, I go on at length about all of these albums. This album, you know, my contention is that this is basically pub rock. It is not post-punk. It is barely new wave. They were listening to a lot of pub rock, and pub rock was like the shit in the mid-'70s, so in England, before punk. And so, you know, I make the joke or the comment in the podcast that a lot of this stuff sounds like Bees Make Honey and Ducks Deluxe, bands that were on the pub rock scene. So, yeah, somebody in the chat was just saying they can't find the Cure in used stores. Yeah, I mean, I think in retail stores, that's tough because it's a band name everybody recognizes. And if you're doing kind of casual, you know, lazy Sunday CD shopping in a brick and mortar store, you're probably going to take a flyer on it. So, and also, like, those stores are also probably going to be charging, you know, upcharging because of the Cure tax, the cool tax of the Cure. You know, this one also was never released in the United States originally. That's like similar to the Clash's debut. You know, American record labels were like, yeah, no, this isn't even an album. No thanks. So the first time anyone in America gets a Cure released, it's actually the compilation after this called Boys Don't Cry. But this album, the original mix of this is much better than the one on Boys Don't Cry. So that's really the reason you would want to get Three Imaginary Boys itself. The track listing is nowhere near as good because Boys Don't Cry is half of a singles compilation and then half the good songs on Three Imaginary Boys. This here, oh wow, that's awesome. Shit Plays. Whoever this is, I'm going to buy everything they have on sale. I'm like going to go into debt. That is awesome. Shit Plays. Like, that's great. I love it. For $6, Shit Plays. All right. I'm actually not going to go through and like browse a store or whatever. I just want to see kind of what the market is. Like I say, you know, look, this can blow up on my face. I don't prep these things. Shit Plays. But, you know, look, it's going to be in the $10 range for the most part. But like, this is interesting. The Japanese pressing, no Obi strip, but $10. This is going to be the best kind of mastered version of this CD. This is OG mid-80s. This is before the one even in Germany, I think. So this is the Polydor Japan. issue, you get the cool, you know, Japanese writing in places, and it's the seller says they have the booklet. I mean, again, we talk all the time about Obi strip tax, which is the dumbest thing, but Cure fans hoard the album Pornography in South America, and you can really find it. It's funny. I appreciate the education. I got some nice education on the YouTube channel after the last one when I was talking about like late 80s and overlooked kind of mid shoegaze bands. I totally mispronounced Dunedin, like never knew how to pronounce the name of that despite knowing like every fucking band that's ever come out of New Zealand. How embarrassing is that? But I did it before. I did it on the old Aphex Twin video. I said Tintagel. In Cornwall, because I never actually spoke to anyone when I was there and learned that it's Tintagel or whatever it is. I mean, look, I'm an American guy. I'm an Anglophile in terms of pop music and shit, but like, you know, I've only been over there 3 times. Anyway, so this is, you know, look, this isn't a great buy, but I would say if you were looking and you saw that Japanese issue for $10, I would totally take that. As I say, this album was rejected by all American labels, even PVC, the label that was like gem-based and a completely cheesy label that actually put out the Times Square soundtrack. That's the first record The Cure appears on that you could buy like in real time in America, was the Times Square soundtrack. Oh, it looks like I'm not centered right on this, sorry. Let me pull that over a little bit. And so, you know, this Boys Don't Cry compilation, this is really the first introduction almost anybody gets to The Cure in the United States, and that's intentional. You know, the idea being that this is a band that's part of, you know, the new English new wave. Whether they were or not, you know, that's how they were received, and that's how they were marketed. That's how any band from England at that time was marketed. So this compiles the Jumping Someone Else's Train single, which is after Three Imaginary Boys, Boys Don't Cry, which is a non-album single, one of The Cure's most famous songs. Also the initial single, Killing an Arab, backed with 10:15 Saturday Night. And, you know, some of the more slight songs, but there's also a big difference with this album, which is that the song World War appears on the vinyl, if you can find it, and only one CD ever issued has this song on it, because Robert hates this song, he's embarrassed of it, and he had it deleted from the Cure's catalog until the Three Imaginary Boys deluxe issue, which he allows it for sort of like historical accuracy to appear on that. The problem is he doesn't give a crap about it, and it sounds like shit. It literally sounds like it's played off the vinyl. It's so bad. The only good copy you can find of this is on an insanely expensive, and like, look, there's like 149, I was pretty close, versions of this. I don't necessarily want to waste time going through the whole thing, but factually there is a German CD, which is the only CD, there it is, 86, that has World War on it. This isn't even the one. It's not the fiction one. It's a different German issue. It's this super like famous, yeah, there you go, CD album reissue, 13 tracks. It'll say that in Discogs. And there's 9 for sale, and they start at $75 just to get the song World War on CD. As an absolutely stupid Cure fan, I have not done anything this dumb. I have this song. I have it digitally in multiple editions, and I don't need to spend this kind of money just to get this limited Cure CD that actually has World War digitally. But this here, when you see these silvers, the full silvers, that is, and I mean this generally across the board, when you're dealing with 80s European pressings and Japanese or whatever pressings, this is what you want to see. Plants that use full silver slugs, generally speaking, this is Gemma, and this is going to be the best plants that were out there, the ones that had this. So hugely recommend that you, you be on the lookout for any CD like that. Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me as well. The original is better, but not perfect. Again, I don't want to get into like collector minutia. We're talking about, Cure collector minutia. We're talking about collecting CDs and finding value. 17 Seconds, by this point, Elektra licenses this. So in 1985, after a dalliance with Sire Records, Seymour Stein had signed The Cure, they sign a full-fledged deal, permanent deal with Elektra, Warner Elektra Atlantic. And as a result, they get the rights to the back catalog from Fiction, and they press all of the old stuff on CD. So 17 Seconds, this should be common as carrots. And frankly, the remaster and the bonus disc, if you're not like a diehard Cure fan, who cares? I mean, even if you are, the remasters aren't great. They're not, like, it's not a huge deal. Yes, there's more headroom. I've talked endlessly about how CD mastering is, in the 80s, really conservative. And so, similar to cassette, it's all mastered by people who have vinyl ears. And so there's a huge amount of like noise ceiling and headroom, which means, you know, maybe potentially background hiss at high volume, whatever. So, you know, if we look, I'm just sorry, I'm going to kill this to the United States. Hey, Vandal Moon coming through. You picked the right stream to show up for, brother. We're going easy layup goth today because, as I mentioned at the top, I'm in the throes of finishing the Cure podcast that I have been intending to and unable to make since September 2021 when I uploaded my last Cure podcast to Spotify and Apple Music about Bloodflowers. This one is about everything since Bloodflowers up to last week. So it's 20 years in an hour and or thereabouts, and it should be going up tonight. Anyway, here we go again. Pop Market is one of those sellers that, you know, look, I don't know, it's sealed theoretically. So buying a sealed copy of 17 Seconds, whichever one it is, it could be the reissue. I'm not going to bother. For $7, that's pretty decent value. The rest of this, 100% Cure tax. Like, there's no way you should have to pay $10 for this, especially if it's the original Elektra CD or the Fiction CD from the 80s. That's just stupid. This is Cure tax. It sucks. But again, whether you're here, whether you're shopping in the real world for used CDs, if you see the original CD, don't feel like you're missing out and that you want to get the 2 CD reissue on any of the Cure stuff. You don't need it. And you can always go back later if you're really fascinated by a particular period and their discography. The remastering jobs, like I say, apart from Kiss Me and Head on the Door, which were really poorly mixed at the time, you're not getting much. Like the Disintegration one is really hot. It's not, like, it sounds great, like great, the way people prefer loud music. Yeah, Jock, it's true, but we were saying also, you know, a lot of used stores will mark up the Cure because they know people will buy it. So it's just tough to find value with them. My point again, the whole point I'm making here, don't worry about getting remasters of this stuff. You don't need it. And like the Disintegration one, Disintegration benefits from it. Like the remastered Disintegration, I like it, but it is a loudness war casualty, and it's you've got to be upfront about the fact that you like that they're doing the heavy lifting for you. You don't need to get a good stereo system and crank it up, which is why Disintegration says on it, this album was mixed to be played loud, so turn it up on the sleeve, because they know they've mastered to a lower dB, LRA, or whatever you want to call it, headroom level. And to bring the record out, you need to amplify the shit out of it, especially the original vinyl and CD. You know, so it's these remasters, especially the early records, they were bad to begin with. Like, look, I love Mike Hedges, but he does not know how to mix drums. He never did. He's the guy who does 17 Seconds Faith and the Charlotte Sometimes single. If you want to hear really fucking awful drum production, listen to those 3 records. The kick drum is essentially clipping. It's distorting. It's so dumb. So in that case, you know, if you were a fan and you're collecting as a fan, don't even get 17 Seconds and Faith, any version of them. Get the compilation Happily Ever After, because this compilation is another window where the Cure, you know, and Chris Perry sort of promiscuously work with another label, which is A&M. Happily Ever After is a unique master of both of these albums. This on vinyl, I've said this in other places, this is the absolute best you will ever hear either of these records is on the original Happily Ever After. And the CD from 1987 is the same masters. So, you know, you're not going to find it cheap, but the 87 AM CD of this, you, like, if you're a Cure fan, you got to get it. I have this on every format. Actually, I had 2 copies of this, and I sent one to good old Dark Alley up north in the Great North Tundra. So, you know, you're starting here at $25. $25 for this is totally fair. It's a promo. That's funny. Or if that's 34. Sorry, I'm blind. I've been down here editing for days. But anyway, there is a sonic, you know, in terms of definitions and what's real, that Happily Ever After compilation, if you can get it, is legitimately very valuable sonically in terms of the presentation and enjoyment of those 2 early second and third Cure albums. The Faith remaster, the bonus disc, is worthless. I went back and reviewed this because someone was asking me whether it was worth buying, and I forgot that Robert does the thing he's done on all the remasters. He takes all the effects off of the live tracks that are included on that second disc, and they sound awful. It's one of the most famous early Cure bootlegs, and I've said elsewhere, it's one of the first compact disc bootlegs ever pressed onto a real CD. I think it was in '87. It's called Arabian Dreams. Arabian Dream was the original vinyl of this tape. It's a really famous boot from Australia that sounds wonderful. And it sounds like it's from 1981. But he has the master and the soundboard, and he goes and puts it so it sounds like you're listening in a dead studio with noise canceling everywhere, and there's no effects on anything. It's just like, it's just so obnoxious. He's destroying so many of their cherished objects selfishly because of what he wants to hear or what his ears are like right now as he's older. It's awful. It's such a bummer. But anyway, this is one where, again, barring Happily Ever After, you don't need the remaster. You just don't get a lot of value. And the demos, they were on tour for 17 seconds going all over the world. This is the album they didn't have time to write. Faith is the Cure's Zenyatta Mandata. It's got some strong tracks, some strong atmospheric tracks, but it's just massively indebted to Joy Division. And, it's only 8 songs long, and there's only really like a couple of bum tracks. I mean, Smith is publicly, as much as he's embarrassed of World War, he's also embarrassed of Doubt on this, which is like the Cure's raging hard rock song or something. Like, dude, no. Not with Lol Tolhurst on drums. That doesn't work. So here you go. These are trashed. 525 mint looks new. Check that out. I mean, there you go. Again, you don't care what edition you're getting of these. It's not like the remasters are awful and unlistenable. You can deal with either. I'm just saying you don't have to like find that. But it looks like there's a lot of places offloading, and a lot of these are big stores that I've heard of. So this Faith looks like an easy get. On Discogs. Straight online, easy. Build up a cart at that store, see if they have any other Cure stuff, get your shipping down, and honestly, you're going to be in the same place you would at a retail store. And like I said, Cure tax, you're probably actually going to come out better because it's more likely you're going to have a volume seller in Discogs that's just not going to get, like, it's not going to be a cool used record store in your town with like, a background like this while you're shopping and fucking Cure posters and like proving how hip they are. And, everybody hangs out there all day and talks shit and talks about Can. There's a tax to that community itself, right? So an anonymous internet seller, especially a volume seller, like I've never even talked about the idea of going on eBay, that like there's places selling stuff essentially for cost, like 75 cents a CD, as long as you just pay the shipping to get rid of it. Unlikely you're going to find a lot of Cure stuff there, but it's possible. After we did the first of probably many like kind of shoegaze adjacent videos last time where you could find, also ran shoegaze bands cheap, I found a copy of the CD EP of Venice by Revolver, which because in America we had the compilation of all 3 of their EPs, right? But I'm like collecting, and I was like, oh man, I have the 45. It's called 45, the first CD EP, but I never got Venice. I go on eBay, somebody had it for $2. Like, I just went through their store, and like, you got to make sure the store's set up right, and they know that there's this whole like produce a new invoice thing when you buy multiple items, that whole thing. eBay is a nightmare. It's a total bitch buying from there, but you can do it if you take the time. So here we go. We got Pornography, all versions, United States, 175 copies. Half of them are going to be the goddamn picture disc for Record Store Day, which is like Discogs is riddled with assholes, excuse my language, trying to totally rip you off and scalp Record Store Day bullshit. I mean, another reason to fucking hate vinyl. Here's somebody trying to get $60 for the reissue. You got to be shitting me on that. Come on. That is absolute bullshit. Can I just get a quick mic check? I had to rush into this. Like, I haven't even checked anything, and you can see the screen wasn't even all right. I am on the old mic, which I think is okay, but I'm seeing that I'm in the yellow, so I just want to make sure it's not buzzing or clipping. Anyway, peaking a little. Oh, good. Thanks, man. I hate that. That sucks. All right, I'll drop it a little bit. RSD is Funko Pops, you know it. All right, so hopefully that's better. I'm also talking kind of loud because I've been doing the podcast, and like I'm kind of fried and my voice is a little bit punchy. So appreciate it, Jock. Always appreciate you guys watching out for the overall quality of the product, if you can call it that. I mean, I guess it's fitting that the industrial one is a little bit buzzy, right? So anyway, Pornography. This is the litmus test of anybody dealing with the Cure and the intensity of the Cure. There you go. Disc 1 only, nothing else. Like literally just the disc and a slipcase for $2. Fucking. If you're not collecting the object like for CD racks, then maybe. But you're starting at $7-8. and some of these might be the reissue. You know, this is indexed, whether it's actually advertised right, as the Polyfiction Universal. If you see Universal, that's the reissue. Universal is the 2 CD reissue. So somebody seems to have that up there for $7. You know, it's paper. So that's sort of an issue. The other weird thing is there are jewel case 2 CD editions of almost all of these reissues, as well as the paper, you know, deluxe ones. I have all the paper ones. Like, I did collect all the paper ones. But like the Disintegration one, there's a 3 CD, old school chunky 3 CD box. Head on the Door, there's a 2 CD jewel case, which has totally different art. Then it's so weird. Like, I don't know what Universal Special Packaging was doing with this shit. Anyway, so you know, again, just basically, if you expect to pay $10, like I still think $10 is a fair price. Because I also think, I've said this before, and I think it's sort of important. It's not necessarily true, but CDs are not inexhaustible. There's this assumption that every CD was produced in enormous quantities, and it's just not true. And no one knows how many were destroyed, returned, you know, thrown away by people. The story of the CD is not resolved. And, you know, again, I'm not trying to like add pressure to the notion of collecting used CDs, but the fact that they remain essentially within reason and striking distance, you know, financially, it's a really compelling way to build this music collection, have physical objects, and again, if we start getting more subscribers and this thing actually goes anywhere, I'm going to do like an introductory video to pin on the channel where I talk about, you know, my stereo over here and the headphones I prefer, Grado SR80s, and, you know, how to configure EAC even, you know, exact audio copy, which I've been using like Gold Wave since the 90s or whatever. You know, I do want to do that kind of intro video. It's just, you know, it's going to be like, I'm going to do a real video, like I'll just do it on iPhone probably, but you know, we're just building this. We're trying to see what happens. Okay. So, I mean, if you're somebody new who's walked in, has no idea who I am or anything I've ever done, you know, if the channel starts to get recommended by the YouTube algo and all of a sudden we're getting like 500 subscribers or something, yes, I will do a baseline intro video that goes through this stuff. And I really appreciate anybody who's happening on this and like actually watching it. You know, it's just all this stored crap I have in my head, and you know, I've been away for a long time from music and music criticism, you know, in terms of social media and online presence. So it's a better way for me to you know, try and, you know, be out there and contributing to helping people, you know, learn about and enjoy music. So The Walk, this is again, it was released in the US. Oh, this is so clutch, man. You gotta love 80s tapes like this. It's so sweet. I've got this on tape. Like, I mean, whenever, it's so hideous and awesome that like they were just like, we don't know how to do, like, we don't know if we're going to bother to spend the money to do an original cassette art layout. Just shrink the 12-inch down and paste it on the fucking tape, like the J card. So good. So this doesn't exist, you know, essentially on CD. I mean, not essentially. It literally does not exist on CD. It's cassette and LP only. Where it exists on CD is in an unfortunate compilation, which came out in 1983, and it was the first thing that they did on CD with Sire, which is the Japanese Whispers compilation. You know, Robert and company say that this wasn't, just similar to Entreat, like it was supposed to be a limited edition thing for a very small market, just to get the singles out there. Well, no, it's like where everyone in America first heard The Cure at all, because it had the hits. It had Love Cats, it had Let's Go to Bed, and it had The Walk. I've mentioned before, it also has one of my top 5 Cure songs of all time in Lament, which is a beautiful, like, that's the best they ever did in terms of incorporating electronics. 100 Years in Lament, to me, in the old days. So Japanese Whispers, Common as Carrots, it's a garbage album. Like, the artwork is just trash. It is so hilarious to me that they reissued this for Record Store Day as a picture disc when it was notorious for being the biggest cutout load of shit The Cure ever put out. Like, you think the Boys Don't Cry cover is chintz because it was done by like some American, you know, artist who looked at the song titles and made up this stupid, you know, line art thing. This is absolute rubbish. I mean, it is so stupid. And depending on the version, yeah, here's the great one. That's the cover. Wait, I gotta give that the real. Yeah, I mean, this is, I have this because, again, it's one of the good masters of it. The US Sire, I'm a little dubious about whether, and this is the, oh my God, this is the sleeve. Like, for real. Papyrus. Wow. So this thing is just garbage, and it's not. It's also like, it's really thin. There's no bass to it. The mix is super weird. But anyway, we only have the 2 CD jewel cases in South America. I'm not surprised, that you guys get screwed all over. So this one, there's only a few songs on it, and unfortunately, one of them that only appears on this is really good, in Lament and also in Just One Kiss, which is this beautiful kind of looping B-side to Let's Go to Bed, where Robert is like, I haven't sold out. I still do songs like on Pornography. Listen to Just One Kiss. This isn't a comp you want to spend a lot of dosh on, but $6.99, mark on disc. Who cares about the jewel case? You can replace it. $6.99 is about where I top out. I mean, $8, whatever. Again, the singles that are on this appear elsewhere. Let's Go to Bed and The Walk and Love Cats all appear later on the famous, the biggest hit they had that really rebooted them in America, which is Standing on a Beach, the 86 greatest hits. These B-sides from this era, from the Walk EP that they call the Dream singles, The Dream, The Upstairs Room, I like them. If you're not a Cure fan, you don't need to hear this stuff yet. Like, you can just take a pass on this thing, ultimately, is what I would say. And really, this whole period is not where you want to start with the Cure at all. Most people in America, this is where they hear about the Cure. The Standing on a Beach, with this iconic, bizarrely iconic cover of this old man on a beach, referencing Camus' The Stranger, which is what inspired Killing an Arab, the first Cure single. But the mid-'80s period, this is fans only, to be honest. This whole era, I would say 17 Seconds, anyone should hear this album. It's really beautiful and unique. That's one you want to get, even if you've never heard the Cure. Faith, no. Pornography, definitely not. And certainly not this psychedelic acid mushroom tea period where Smith is in the Banshees and 2 other side projects. It's bad. Like, this is something Cure fans like. Like, the top is almost the album where you're like, no one knows this one but me. Like, I get it, Robert. I know what you want to do. Like, it's so dumb. I mean, as a straight music critic and someone talking about music broadly and not a Cure fan, you got to be honest. Like, this record's not good. I love Shake Dog Shake and Bird Mad Girl and Bird Mad Girl especially, because I'm a Cure fan. And like, the personality of Robert Smith is something that I'm really well versed in. Dressing up as one of Robert's stubborn favorite goofy, like Japanese style, or what he might have, thought Japanese pop would have been. There are people who love The Caterpillar. The Caterpillar was the single from it. It's similar to the Love Cats. It's a dippy bongo, it's hippy dippy. It's pretty, but again, Caterpillar appears on the greatest hits, on Standing on a Beach. You don't need this record until you're like a bona fide Cure fan and you want to go all the way on this band. Avoid this thing, because apart from the single and the raging rock opener of Shake Dog Shake, nothing here for you. It's fans only. The concert bootleg, it's not a bootleg, the concert official bootleg that Smith put out, this has my favorite drummer, apart from Boris Williams, that's ever played for the Cure, Andy Anderson. He's passed away from cancer a few years ago. If you get into early Cure, like 17 Seconds, and when you hear the greatest hits here, and you hear like Charlotte Sometimes, the concert live album, depending on where you live, in Europe, Australia, places like that, this record is everywhere. In the United States, you absolutely could not get this record at all, forever. It was so hard to find. And the thing about it was there was a cassette, and the cassette had an entire full-length album of really obscure stuff called Cure Anomalies, Curiosity on the B-side. This was so cherished. This was one of the first things that got bootlegged. It was rain in boots of this on vinyl and CD in the late 80s. These are really rough live versions. The versions here of Drowning Man, Other Voices, and Funeral Party are the ones that Robert ruins on the Faith reissue by taking the effects off the soundboard. There's this awesome harder versions of At Night. This is so much better than the studio version of At Night. It's so good. In Your House is faster than the version on 17 Seconds. So this cassette was like absolutely cherished, and it has these weird jam session things, All Mine and Forever at the end, that they played on the Pornography and Top tours. I mention them because I go into this a little bit with respect to the modern Cure stuff that my podcast is about to cover probably tonight. But this is where the Cure begins as the band that you've heard about, as the guy with the big hair that's absolutely gorgeous, that every girl and boy is in love with. This is the beginning of Imperial Cure. The band has gone through a billion, lineup changes over the 2 years prior to this, 3 really. And this is where Robert has resolved everything, and he starts writing classic, unique pop songs that only he has ever been able to write. In Between Days, I mean, Push is like, by this point, the funny thing is Push was like the Cure aesthetes Cure song. Like, this is the song where it's like, it's one of the only times Robert Smith was just like, you want me to write a rock song? But I mean, what a flex. This thing fucking shreds. It is so amazing. And like, yeah, it's got awful gated reverb on Boris's drums and everything. Live, this song, which people go ape shit. Like, the inverse of the kind of casuals who flip out when they start playing Just Like Heaven. The Cure fans, this is when it's like you're pushing people away to get to the front of the stage when you hear the opening drum roll of Push. Like, this on In Orange, the live album that follows this, is, oh my God, so good. So, I mean, this album rather, front to back, this is such a good record. Now, as a Cure fan, I don't actually remember it. I don't go back to it much. This is like one of the albums that I like overdid it on when I was like 13 or whatever. And I always think of Halloween in the fall when I think of it, because that's when I was just like burning this fucking tape down every day, front to back. The songs that stand out to me now and have endured are Push and the Baby Screams. I think the Baby Screams is one of the most overlooked hard Cure songs, and it's a mode that Smith's into a lot at this time, and it's all over Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, the double album that comes after this with Torture and All I Want. But I absolutely love this one. It's really awkward, and that's the kind of the cool thing about Head on the Door. The awkward weirdness of the top is not totally gone from the equation. Screw is this hilarious psychedelic little ripper. It's like 2 minutes long. You have a 6/8 song in 6 different ways, which is essentially the Susie and the Banshees song Swimming Horses. Like, he's in Susie and the Banshees for almost 2 years. And, well, not that long. And then he has a side project with the bassist from Susie and the Banshees, Steve Severin. So, there's a lot of cross-pollination, and there's still some of that hung over on the Head on the Door. Kyoto song, 6 different ways. And then A Night Like This is an old song, because Pearl Thompson has rejoined the band as of The Top, the Cure's original kind of guitar hero. And this is one of his songs that dates back from like Plastic Passion on the first album, or on the second single. I think it's the B-side to Boys Don't Cry, right? Anyway. So A Night Like This is like a total, and Close to Me is one of their biggest early pop hits. This is the straight version with no horns on it. In the single mix, they add this entire horn section, which I actually like. And I also like the fact that they improve the drums. They add more attack on the snare, whether it's overdubbing something to it or what. There are people who are purists and only like the kind of claustrophobic, urging, bass-heavy cotton feel of the album version of Close to Me. I'm ambivalent. I like them both. I like the single version that ends up on the kind of, okay, we're starting to get chart hits now. We need to get America aware of the Cure. And that's what this is. 1986, Chris Perry puts out Standing on the Beach, which on CD is called Staring at the Sea, and has a couple extra tracks. So in the CD sense, you totally win out here. The original CD, excuse me, Europe, blah, blah, blah. All right. So, there's 1,000 copies of this for sale across formats, and that could include the Laserdisc also. But yeah, if I pull this up and we just pull it down to the CD, you get a whole bunch. I think is it three extra tracks, I think, maybe, versus the cassette. The cassette also, though, similar to Concert Curiosity, the cassette has an entire album on the B-side of it. It's a double-length cassette of all their B-sides to that point. This is sort of irrelevant now because you have the Join the Dots box set, so you don't need it. But that was another thing kind of growing up. So this is another thing right there. Somebody listing it as a club edition for $250. Done. the fact that people think there's value to this, I've said it in every stream, is so funny. Like, if you don't know how CDs are made, they're made from a digital file called a DDP. That same file makes every fucking CD that's legally licensed by the record label. It doesn't matter if BMG pressed it or Columbia or whoever. CDs are CDs. They're digital information. There's no quality issue here. The only question is there actually a different source master? And there rarely is. Yeah, so I mean, this is just a total no-brainer. I mean, you got this all day. It rains staring at the sea, and it's just such the way to start. You're going right up to 86. You get a night like this, 17 tracks. Then you can see, or rather, you can hear, you know, this harsh middle period where it's kind of a turnoff. You can also see, like, there's only one song from the top, and 3 from Head on the Door. You know, 30% of Head on the Door is on this, you know, and all the early non-album singles. So this is where you start, because you get Play for Today in a Forest off of 17 Seconds as well. If you never heard them, this is where you go. And then you can, you know, target your searches out from there. I didn't pull up, and I should just do that since that's sort of the intention of this whole thing, Head on the Door. But again, once you're on Elektra here, from Head on the Door on, all the Elektra stuff, there are so many copies of this out there. And you don't need these remastered 2 CD sets. For Head on the Door, the second disc is actually, like, the 2 best second discs of all the reissues are Head on the Door and Kiss Me, for me. But that's as a fan, because the demos were good. You can get Join the Dots, this box set of all their B-sides. And you can get, because the B-sides from Head on the Door are pretty infamously strong and really cool and experimental. There's a song, The Exploding Boy, which is essentially too similar to In Between Days to have been included on the album. But it's actually, a lot of people prefer it. It's got saxophone in it. It's really rushing and crazy, super fast, 16th beat, kind of like, it's such a good song. It's sort of dumb to me that they left this off, Head on the Door, and made it a B-side. But there's lots of really cool B-sides on this, in this period. A few hours after this is this, you know, fake synth orchestra thing. Everybody loves that one. So like for Cure heads, this is really like the apex B-side period. Head on the Door and Kiss Me. I mean, Kiss Me had an entire separate 10-inch album. The B-sides from it were so good. But we'll get there in a sec. So, I mean, Head on the Door, there's not a ton of copies here on CD in the States, 65 copies, but you should be able to get that OG Elektra for nothing. Yeah, there you go. There's a whole bunch under $5. Pre-94 club pressing. Like, oh no. $5, done. You know, this is a great record. You know, if you find this alongside any of these mid-80s CDs in a store, you know, retail or online, that's the way to go. Oh, that's smart. Yeah, somebody was just saying in the chat that they dubbed off. I used to do that. I mean, that was the thing in the 80s. I don't know if people, I don't know if like anybody is old enough like I am, Gen X, to have grown up with it. But like in the 80s, when you would buy new cassettes, you would often dub them to a blank so you didn't damage the original. Like, yeah, I did that. I only did it for certain things, like definitely for Standing on a Beach, the B-sides thing, and definitely for Concert and Curiosity when I got it. I never played those tapes. I just dubbed them, and I listened to the dubs until they died, and then I dub it again. That's not a normal mindset, probably. It certainly wasn't common in the 80s, I don't think. But anyway, so, you know, like I say, the Staring at the Sea CD, common as carrots. Kiss Me, this is a double album, and the original pressing is missing the song Hey You, because theoretically it didn't fit. I don't know about that, but the vinyl had it. Anyway, the original CD in the US, if you go back to this, it doesn't have Hey You. You know, strange omission. So it's got 17 instead of 18 tracks, and they took a 2-minute joke song that's like a, you know, the theme from Man from U.N.C.L.E. or something. It's just it's a funny little romp. But this thing, you know, the B-sides and the deluxe edition, unfortunately, this is one where I say you should go there. And I mean, sort of on Head on the Door, but definitely Kiss Me, because the original CD mix is so bad. There's no treble. It's really, really bad. And, you know, it's been one of my biggest pain points, like, ever. I did a blog entry, like, over 10 years ago where I personally, like, remixed and resequenced Kiss Me, because it always drove me so nuts. There's no treble on it. And it's because of them using MIDI and shit like that, and the, you know, the mixing techniques, again, that I talk about, you know, from the 80s. So it's It's one where, in this case, you probably do want to find the deluxe edition. But if you don't care and you're out shopping, that Electra one is fine. It's just, you know that it sounds a little bit muted and a little bit flat. And, you know, if you're a fan of this period, and this is some of their biggest singles, Why Can't I Be You, Just Like Heaven, Hot, 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 you do want to get the deluxe. It's one where, though, again, from a financial standpoint, $3 all day, you can get the OG Electra CD of this. This was pressed in enormous volumes, factually. I mean, this is when Electra is sort of doing really, really well and starting to get big, and The Cure are absolutely considered a potential American, you know, catalog act. So this is out there everywhere all day for nothing. If you can find a cheap copy of the reissue, the deluxe, again, if it's indexed right by the seller, it will say Universal on it. Go for it. You know, and I would say go up to $8 for that all day. So yeah, here's one. It says disc has one oh, I thought it said disc one. Yeah, I mean, I may have passed it. I'm kind of fried, but anyway, that's kind of the referendum here. You can get it all day for nothing, and go ahead and do it, because it's one of the Cure's. It's my favorite Cure album. Like, full stop. I didn't even say that. I prefer this to Disintegration because of the variety of it. And the fact that, you know, The Kiss is maybe Robert Smith's best and craziest aggressive vocal performance. He never even gets close to this anywhere again. It's nuts how hard he blasts on The Kiss. And it's also got really strong pop songs that aren't singles. Like How Beautiful You Are is one of my favorite Cure songs ever. It's essentially like, you know, him rewriting a Baudelaire short story. If Only Tonight We Could Sleep. This is, you know, one of their greatest signature, unique Cure kind of ambient, you know, almost pseudo world music pieces. There's just nobody that sounds like this period of the Cure, and it's sort of repeated in the longer, more kind of turgid The Snake Pit, which it's just way too long. But like when you're like 14 or whatever, and you hear, like, when you're a teenager, The Snake Pit is the ultimate fucking smoke a bowl song. Like, you fishbowl the fucking car and put on Snake Pit. 100%. It's like 7 minutes long of like Boris Williams drum patterns, really slow, and it's just like, oh man, I'm so fucking high. Yeah, I mean, the Snake Pit is an absolute winner in that respect. If you want, if you want to, like, as a memory of a thing that Cure fans used to do, that's all the Snake Pit was. It was a song to get baked to. Then later at the end of the album, there's some really strange, almost straight piano ballads, 1,000 Hours, and the more kind of Cocteau Twins, atmospheric, synth-heavy One More Time. These two ballads, there's nothing like this in the Cure's catalog before or since. This is like, I don't know what he's trying to do, but this is like straight up technical crooning, and it's wild. Like, there's so, the amount of variety on this album, which is of course its entire intention, it's honestly still astonishing how different every fucking song on this album is from the one before it, and yet how they all hang together. It's such an incredible accomplishment, this record, and it remains my favorite. And I do own the 3-album vinyl, the original vinyl with the orange 10-inch that has the B-sides on it. It's one of my kind of prized possessions. Along with the original Wish vinyl, which I showcased in the Cure live stream. I should upload that to this channel. I don't know what I'm doing with that, sitting on that old defunct Shallow Rewards channel. But anyway, after this, you know, the Cure, they go on a huge tour. They're gone forever, blah, blah, blah. Disintegration, yeah. I mean, again, it rains copies of this. Problem is, everybody knows it's the Cure's best album. It's, you know, it's their canon. Beyond the Cure, the Disintegration is one of the biggest albums ever, right? So there are versions and editions of this that just, like, forget it. There's a picture disc that came out in the original run of this, like, you know, 10 months after it came out. There's a vinyl picture disc that was like a victory lap that came out in like a heavy sleeve, and like, I've never bought it. I didn't buy it at the time because it was just, it's like merch crap. But that thing goes for ridiculous money now. And I mean, OG Disintegration vinyl does. Stupid. So here you go, boom. Disintegration club copy, $3. And I think this seller had other Cure stuff. Let me pull it up. I think this seller had 2 other... whoops, nope, that's wrong. Old man doesn't know how to use the internet. Disintegration galore. There, boom. Oh, Wish for $4 too. Slam. There you go. That's your bag. And you get 13 songs for $10. That's the official Discord. Don't pay more than $10 for this. But yeah, Disintegration, Wish, Staring at the Sea, 3, 4, 3. Bag that. Go find some other stuff from that seller. Take that down. Yeah, Disintegration's everywhere. And again, the difference is the remaster is a bit brick-walled. It's not bad, but they punched it up a lot. And there's a significant sonic difference, especially on the really heavily layered, I mean, it's all heavily layered, but the crazy layered shit, like Untitled and Fascination Street, the remasters kill all that headroom. So when you're like, if you're not listening to the OG mix and cranking it, and you're listening to the remaster, it's artificially loud. And it just kind of sucks, unfortunately. But for the majority of Disintegration, the remaster doesn't ruin it. So if you see it, fine. Unfortunately, on this one, I don't know how many copies Universal has been printing of these reissues, but this thing goes for really stupid money, and it's not that old. The reissue, I consistently see it. Yeah, I mean, we're going all the way down here, right? Look, here's the reissue Deluxe Edition on Universal. People want $25 for this. You're not going to get this cheap. It's really weird, and I don't know why. But yeah, I mean, people are asking, there's people asking 60, well, that's obviously stupid. I don't know what the hell this is. But there's people asking a whole bunch of money for this crap. Hey, Obi Strip Tax. Yeah, I'm going to pay $150 for a CD of Disintegration because it has Japanese writing on it. But like, here's somebody looking for $50. $50, man, for the reissue. Like 60 soft outer case. So there you go. They're explicitly saying this is the cardboard slip. Like, they know someone like me is out there that's dumb enough to give a shit about this. The OG is everywhere. Just get that. You don't need these deluxe editions if you're not a Crazy Cure fan, and you can get almost all their Electro records for nothing. Even Wish, you know. And that's the one that's just been reissued. We just got the deluxe in November, and you know, you don't need it. Like, I think I don't like it. Like, the B-side, anything good on it, the B-side, the second disc, all the cool stuff on the second disc, Robert's ruined it by this stupid modern no effects mixing decision that he keeps making on everything. The guy's like totally slaughtering their catalog as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'd much rather listen to CDR bootlegs I have of this stuff than what came out, because he's ruined it. So, you know, again, Wish, there's so many copies of this out there on CD, the original. There's no way you should have to pay more than $3-4 for this. And then look at it. I mean, it's just raining copies. So, you know, do your kind of homework here. Find sellers, search them, see if they have other Cure stuff. You should be able to get a bag from a single seller of at least 5 or more Cure CDs, the original Electro pressings, for like $15-20. And then you're gonna like understand more about them, if they're for you, whatever. You know, and build that catalog. I mean, Show in Paris are basically free. Fat Wreck CDs next stream. Yeah, well, you know their trick, right? They put a 50-cent piece on the kick drum. They learned that from heavy metal. They might have learned it from like New York hardcore studios, but like that was the trick in the 80s to get more attack on a kick drum. You put a $50 where the kick batter hits, and you get like this incredible treble attack on the front initial slam of the kick drum. Show in Paris. So this came up recently. I have this on Laserdisc. I had never bothered to rip this because Laserdisc video fidelity is dog shit. I did know though that Laserdiscs are unique audio mixes, and I mean that's why I have most of the Laserdiscs I do, because they're unique. It's a unique audio format, and so that necessarily means a unique master was prepared for it. And about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, I did rip it to FLAC, and I posted it on the Cure subreddit, and people were like, "Holy shit!" I mean, I was absolutely shocked at how different the Laserdisc audio of this is. So if you want to hit me up on Reddit, Shallow Rewards, I'll do that, and you can get a copy. Anybody watching this, well, the majority of the people are in the Cord, and the Cord's already got it. But yeah, the Laserdisc audio of this is so much better than the CD that like go on Reddit and hit me up for it. Like this CD is essentially free. The Cure were at their biggest point when this came out. They had sold 2 million copies of Wish. They had gone to number 2 in the United States with Friday I'm in Love. I mean, they were as big as any band. They were the only artist that kept them from number 1 was Janet Jackson. The only artist they weren't bigger than with Love Song was Janet Jackson. And with Wish, the album rather goes to number 2. I'm getting that mixed up. Love Song went to number 2 in the singles charts for Disintegration. Wish, the album, went to number 2 on the US charts, if I'm recalling correctly. And Friday I'm in Love was a monster hit. And so Show was the next release after Wish and Friday I'm in Love. And it's just everywhere for nothing. So, it's good too. I mean, that's the other thing. This is the kind of au revoir to Boris Williams, Pearl Thompson, and the great Imperial Cure. Like, Smith knew the band was going to be breaking up because he was such a fucking mess and everybody was fed up with it. And he very pointedly staged this enormous professionally recorded tour. And Show is the, recording of that. It was in Detroit, I think, or Auburn Hills or something. You can get this for nothing. And it's worth getting. I mean, as live albums go, not always a good bet. Live albums, generally speaking, are uneven. This is really good. High on this, it gives the single a run for its money. This is one of the best performances of Pictures of You you're ever going to hear. From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea is maybe a little bit of a wasted opportunity, only because the mix doesn't suit it, and it's similarly true of End. But again, if you're going to get it, look for the full 2 CD edition. Palace of Auburn Hills, rip. Yep, you got it. And again, sure, get it to have the physical copy or whatever. But seriously, if you're at all curious, hit me up on Reddit. It's nuts how much better the Laserdisc audio is. Paris, and fans have always said this, Paris, the sort of second fans only version, set rather, of stuff from this tour, with like all the deep cuts, this is better than Show. The mix of this is much stronger than Show, even though it's all coming from the same period. This fans only Paris live CD is far more cherished by fans, and it's actually almost better in many respects, because the band themselves would much rather be playing off-kilter obscure cuts because they're bored of playing the hits every fucking night. So Play for Today on this is phenomenal. It's as good as the In Orange performance from '86. At Night is so fucking good. I mean, again, At Night's always better live. This version of it, so excellent. And the Figurehead too. They played that when I saw them in Worcester on this tour, and it was really good on this tour. It kind of benefited. It was very smooth, and I mean, look, they played it on the Disintegration tour with Boris too. Somehow it was a little bit different and fuller on the Wish tour, the Show tour. This also has the live version of A Letter to Elise that a lot of people prefer. The album version is so stiff and it just sucks. Anyway, after this point, this is where the Cure aren't good anymore. Like, the Cure just, they absolutely stink out the joint on record after this, except for Blood Flowers. And I mean, I am way more, I defend Blood Flowers far more than even most Cure fans. Like, I've got a really big soft spot for this record, despite the fucking horrible cover. I think it's shocking that Smith was even able to make a record this good because of how bad Wild Mood Swings was, and what a just complete disastrous case of writer's block he has had ever since Wish. And I mean, it affected Wish too. He talked about it in the Twitter listening party for the 30th anniversary issue on Tim Burgess's Twitter listening party. After this, like, if you don't want to get any of these records, like, they're awful. The self-titled record from 2004 and 413 Dream, they're unlistenably bad. Like, there's no one except the biggest Cure fan needs to bother with these. And even then, only for academic reasons. Like, there are a couple of interesting moments. And again, I'm about to publish the podcast about them, like, tonight. So listen for that, and I'll go into more detail about it. One of the factoids that I state as we're wrapping up here in the podcast is, if you look at it, The Cure did not release a single note of new music between 2008 and 2023, if their current album that they're touring and playing live comes out. Yeah, not a single note of new music. There's a Best of a Live album, which is not good, and then this big Hyde Park 40th anniversary curation celebration. This is pretty good. It's whatever. It's modern Cure. All this stuff, modern Cure is a totally different beast than anything after Wish. It's kind of like, there's the Imperial run from 76 to 93. And then there's the whole 90s is a fucking wasteland of awful compilation tracks, wild mood swings, and just garbage. Bloodflowers is this return to form. It's Smith really digging deep. And I totally give him, kudos for what he managed to do. There's like 3 or 4 good songs on this album, like legitimately good songs. The lyrics aren't they're not Disintegration caliber, but it's a great little record. I mean, especially now that you don't have to go pay list for it and you can get it for $1. If you have any interest in this band, this one's worth having. But these two, absolutely not. There's nothing there. I mean, it's brutal. And again, so listen later tonight. You should see that hit. I mean, Vandal Moon, I hear you on Lost. I mean, as I say, I'll say in the podcast and you'll hear it. Lost is just all mine. It's forever. It's just that. Like, Ross Robinson clearly grew up a big Cure fan and thought, all mine, all I have to do is kill her, and Forever were these hardcore, obscure, crazy, the Cure ripping it live. You got to do that again, man. Ugh. Anyway, I'll save it for that. Burn still goes. I said 93. Burn is 93. I included that in the Imperial period. Even though Burn is just like a commercialization of Pornography, the title track from Pornography, because, for the Crow soundtrack, they wanted to use songs off Pornography because that was written in the graphic novel. And he was like, nah, I'll do something new. I mean, Burn's funny because it's just Robert and Boris. I don't know if you know that. It's just him and Boris in the studio. The Cure was done. They were broken up. He just went in the studio with Boris to do that song for the soundtrack, and that's it. They broke up after Wish, in the show, the tour, for years. Anyway, we're at 3 o'clock. Again, I try to keep these tight. I really appreciate everybody coming through. I hope eventually this thing, starts to get a little traction. But we've had some new people come through, people that used to be aware of me online. When it's really good to see you again, like Vandal Moon showing up today. Cool, Joe. Thanks for taking the time too. The best way to get the B-sides is Join the Dots. Yes, it has all of them. It has ones you don't need. There's 4 CDs on Join the Dots. The 4th CD, throw it away. You will never touch it. It's so bad. But the first 2 CDs are all of those glorious Cure B-side days. And the 3rd CD, I think, has the Wish B-sides, which are among the best songs, straight up, the Cure ever recorded. Fun fact, this Twilight Garden is Rick Beato's favorite Cure song. Anyway, Join the Dots, you should be able to get it for not much too, because it's a total Universal special packaging pile of garbage that, they pressed a ton of them considering the likely audience. This came out in 2004. I'll just pull it up. Did I click on appearances or compilations? This is compilations, right? No, I didn't. I clicked on appearances. I hate when I do that on Discogs. Fucker. Anyway, here you go. Yeah, Join the Dots. I'll finish on this. I'll go a couple minutes over. Join the Dots. What? Oh, that's a sampler. Jesus, Discogs, man. Oh, the fucking minutia. Here's Join the Dots. So this is a 4 CD box set. This is the actual end of their relationship with Fiction Records. It's the last thing that comes out that's attached to Fiction and Polydor, and it's all the good shit. So the 3rd disc does have this Twilight Garden and Play, which are those phenomenal Wish B-sides. There is so much glorious stuff in the Cure's B-sides. I mean, I think what I'm going to do is actually do a little kind of podcast episode about this before I start the run of Head on the Door through Disintegration, because I always just kind of cast off mention B-sides. They're one of the most important bands as regards the B-side conceptually that exists. They're Beatles Bowie territory with their B-sides. So that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, you should get it. I mean, if you can get this for $15, God, there's so much gold on this. Again, like I say, the 4th CD is just literally garbage, and you'll never need it. But Dots Cast, sure, yeah, I'll do that. It looks like it's holding around $30 everywhere. I mean, honestly, 30 is the ceiling for me. I wouldn't go any higher than that. There's so many copies of this. If people aren't recognizing the fact that this is really easy to get, they will eventually. I mean, I would pay 30 for it if I was a Cure fan. You know, if I'm a casual listener exploring collecting used CDs, no way. You don't need to do that. Like, wait until you're like, I can't stop listening to The Cure. And then $30 for 3 CDs of B-sides. And if it's in good condition, this nice package. I mean, look, the liner notes aren't that great, but this is such an important part of The Cure's story. That's where I leave it. Like, this compiles an enormously important aspect of The Cure's career. And if you end up caring about them and building a collection of them, yeah, you need it. So it's $20 in the record store across the street. Go get that for sure if it's got all 4 discs. So yeah, anyway, I'll wrap it there. Thanks for turning out, and we will be back next Thursday. Oh, no, we won't. I'm not going to be able to stream next Thursday. Oh, all like 30 people are going to be so crushed. Anyway, I'll put a reminder out about that, and we'll catch up a week from today then, I guess. Or I'll do a makeup stream. No, I won't be able to. I'm going to be gone. Anyway, we'll see you next week, and we'll keep doing what we're doing. Thanks, guys.